What happens when a decorated war veteran walks into a small-town diner and no one sees him as human? Not the waitress, not the customers, and certainly not the two officers already waiting in the corner booth. But what they didn't know was that this man wasn't just another homeless vet. He had friends in places they couldn't imagine, and a past that would bring their entire system crashing down. It started with a cup of coffee, and ended with a national scandal, federal arrests, and a movement that would change everything. Snow drifted lazily across the quiet streets of Greystone, a town so small most people only passed through. It was late. Most storefronts were closed, their windows glowing dimly behind frost-streaked glass. Footsteps crunched on icy sidewalks as a tall man walked alone, his pace slow but steady. His name was Isaiah Brooks. From a distance, he looked like any other drifter. Tattered boots, military-style jacket, worn hat pulled low. But up close, there was something different. His jacket, though old, was clean. An American flag patch, faded but intact, clung to his sleeve. His eyes were sharp, watchful, the kind of eyes that had seen war and survived it. He muttered quietly as he walked, almost like prayer. Check exits, monitor surroundings, identify threats, habits, rituals, leftover commands from another life. Ahead, a neon sign flickered. Red Line Diner, open 24 hours. He paused outside, brushed the snow from his shoulders, and stepped in. The warmth hit him first. Then the smell. Grilled meat, old coffee, fresh biscuits. He closed his eyes just for a second. When he opened them, the diner had fallen nearly silent. Forks froze halfway to mouths. Conversations died mid-sentence. A woman pulled her purse closer. A teenager stared, then looked away. Isaiah knew that look. He'd seen it before. Dozens of times. He walked slowly to the counter, sat at a stool with clear lines of sight to the door and kitchen. Old instincts again. Just passing through, he murmured, more to himself than anyone. Samantha Hayes, 23, was wiping down the counter. She'd worked at the Red Line for almost 2 years, saving for college, helping raise her younger brother. She noticed him right away, not just the way he looked, but the way he carried himself. Straight-backed, quiet, watchful. He didn't ask for anything, so she stepped forward. "Can I get you something, sir?" she asked, offering a menu. He smiled slightly. "Black coffee, please, and whatever's the special tonight, if it's not too much trouble, ma'am." "Ma'am, not honey, not sweetheart." She nodded, almost surprised. "Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans." "Sounds perfect, thank you." Behind her, 2 men sat in the corner booth. Cops. They came in every Tuesday night. Officer Rourke was the louder one, built like a linebacker with the smugness of a man who thought the badge made him invincible. Officer Denton was thinner, quieter, and crueler. His eyes scanned everything and everyone like a predator. Rourke leaned in, just loud enough. "Check the silverware count, Sam. That one's probably going to walk out with the spoon." Denton laughed. "Don't forget to check the bathroom. These street vets love to shoot up once they're inside somewhere warm." Isaiah didn't look up. He lifted the mug, blew on it once, took a slow sip. Samantha's cheeks flushed with shame. Not at him. At them. She forced a smile. "I'll get your plate ready." "Much obliged," he said quietly, without a flicker of anger. But Rourke wasn't done. He stood up, swaggered to the counter, and dropped into the stool beside Isaiah. "How's your brother doing at the academy, Sam?" he asked, voice syrup-slick. She didn't answer right away. Then, calmly, "He's doing great, top of his class." "Good," Rourke nodded. "We need more good cops, cops who know the difference between citizens and parasites." Isaiah set his coffee down, slowly. Denton slid into the stool on Isaiah's other side. "You'd be amazed how many of these so-called vets never saw a day in combat," he said, "but they sure know how to hustle sympathy." Isaiah didn't move. Samantha returned with his plate. Her hands shook slightly as she placed the food down. "Can I get you officers anything else?" "We're good," Rourke said, grabbing a sugar packet and tossing it onto Isaiah's plate. "Dance for it, buddy. Earn your dinner. Isn't that how you people do it?" Silence. Somewhere in the back, a teenage boy pulled out his phone and began recording. Isaiah picked up the sugar packet between 2 fingers, turned, placed it gently on the officer's table. "I earned my dignity in Fallujah," he said quietly. "Don't need to earn it again tonight." The words landed like a punch. Rourke's face darkened. Denton's hand moved near his holster. "You threatening an officer?" Denton asked. "No, sir," Isaiah replied. "Just having dinner." You need to leave, Rourke said, voice clipped. You're disturbing the peace. I paid for this meal, Isaiah said. I intend to finish it. Samantha stepped forward. Officers, please, he's not? Stay out of it, Denton snapped, unless you want your brother's name pulled from that academy list. Her face paled. Her hand slipped into her apron, where her phone had been recording the entire time. Rourke grabbed Isaiah's shoulder. On your feet, now. Isaiah didn't resist, just looked up, calm and unflinching. I've broken no law, he said, and I'd like to finish my meal. Refusing to comply, Denton snarled. That's strike 3. Phones were out all across the diner now, silent witnesses. Isaiah spoke clearly, looking at Samantha. If anything happens to me, call General Stroud, Pentagon. Tell him Isaiah Brooks is in trouble. Her eyes widened. Rourke laughed. Yeah, and I'm buddies with the president. Let's go, Turner. They dragged him out into the cold. Samantha stood in the doorway watching, shaking. Then she ran out, searching the snow until she found them. Isaiah's dog tags, kicked and buried. She brushed off the frost. Brooks, Isaiah J. Army, OPAS Methodist. Her phone was still recording. She looked down at the screen. Then, with trembling fingers, she whispered, "Please don't be crazy." And she dialed the Pentagon. The door to the Red Line diner swung closed behind them. The cold air sucked out with a final hollow thump. Inside, the customers tried to resume their meals. Conversations started again, quiet, unsure. No one looked at Samantha. She stood by the counter, staring at the phone in her hand. The dog tags were still warm from her grip, tucked deep in her coat pocket. Isaiah Brooks? Who was this man really? In the employee bathroom, her hands still trembling, Samantha opened the phone app. She hesitated. Her thumb hovered over the call button for the number she had just looked up. Department of Defense, Public Affairs, main line. This is insane, she whispered to herself. He's probably just another vet with a sad story. But something in his voice, calm, measured, deliberate, wouldn't let go. She tapped call. It rang. Once, 3 times. Then a clear, clipped female voice answered. Department of Defense. How may I direct your call? Samantha's breath caught. I need to speak to General Malcolm Stroud. It's about someone named Isaiah Brooks. He said to call. There was a pause. Please hold. Click. A new line. Then another pause. Her heart thundered. She expected a redirect, or voicemail, or a reprimand for wasting time. Instead, a calm male voice came on. This is Colonel Abrams, aide to General Stroud. Who is this? Samantha Hayes. I work at a diner in Greystone, Pennsylvania. Isaiah Brooks was just arrested by 2 local officers. He said to call. I think they might hurt him. Another pause. This one longer. She could hear muffled conversation in the background. Then, stay on the line. General Stroud will speak with you directly. Seconds later, a new voice. Older, firm, unmistakably commanding. This is General Stroud. You have information on Sergeant Isaiah Brooks? Samantha nearly dropped the phone. Yes. He was just taken by Officers Denton and Rourke. They humiliated him, threatened him, then dragged him out and shoved him into a cruiser. I don't know where they're taking him. Silence. Then the general spoke. You did the right thing calling me. I want you to upload any video you have to the number my aide will text. Immediately. Then go home. Say nothing to anyone. We'll handle the rest. Samantha exhaled sharply. Will he be okay? Stroud's voice softened, just slightly. Sergeant Brooks is one of the finest men I've ever commanded, and I take care of my own. Then the line went dead. In Washington, D.C., General Malcolm Stroud stood in his wood-paneled office overlooking the Potomac. At 71, silver-haired but sharp-eyed, he stared out the window with a clenched jaw. Isaiah Brooks, a name he hadn't heard in years, but would never forget. In 2006, in the deserts of Helmand Province, Brooks had pulled him from a burning convoy truck after an ambush, taking 3 bullets in the process. When Stroud had tried to give the order for retreat, Brooks had looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Not leaving you, sir. Not today, not ever." Now that same man was being tossed out of a diner like garbage. Stroud grabbed his secure phone and began dialing, fast. In a holding cell in Greystone Police Department, Isaiah sat quietly on the concrete bench. His hands rested on his knees. His breathing was steady, in through the nose, out through the mouth. He didn't move when Denton passed by the bars, didn't react when Rourke laughed loudly down the hall, making some crude joke to the receptionist. He'd been through worse. Pain didn't shake him. But injustice still burned. And somewhere inside him, under all the armor, he hoped she'd made the call. 37 minutes later, a black SUV pulled into the station lot. Two federal agents stepped out, crisp suits, no nonsense. Inside, the sheriff's eyebrows raised. "Can I help you?" "Department of Defense Internal Affairs," said Agent Reyes, flashing her badge. "We're here for Sergeant Isaiah Brooks." The sheriff blinked. "Sergeant who?" "Decorated veteran, 2 Purple Hearts, Silver Star, Kandahar. You're holding him unlawfully." "We had a disturbance?" "We have video," Agent Morales interrupted, "from at least 5 witnesses. He posed no threat. Your officers posed every threat." They walked past the sputtering sheriff and straight to the holding cells. When Isaiah looked up and saw them, he nodded once slowly. That was fast. "General Stroud moves quickly when it's one of his," Reyes said. "You're free to go, Sergeant." Outside the station, Isaiah stepped into the cold night air, his jacket still missing, his ribs sore, but his spine was straight. Across the street, a figure stood huddled under a street lamp, thin jacket, arms crossed. Samantha. She ran to him as soon as she saw him. "You're okay," she breathed. "They didn't." "No," he said. "You called? That's why." She pulled something from her pocket and handed it to him. His dog tags, the metal cold, edges still damp from the snow. "I didn't know if they'd listen. I thought I was crazy for calling the Pentagon." Isaiah slipped the chain over his head. The tags rested against his chest like armor. "It always works," he said. "Truth scares cowards. And Stroud, he never forgets who saved his life." Samantha swallowed hard. "What happens now?" Isaiah looked up at the sky. The stars had started to break through the clouds. "Now?" he said. "Now they learn what happens when you try to break someone who's already been through hell." By morning, Greystone wasn't the same quiet town. The sheriff's office refused to comment. The police department locked down their social media pages. But the video, Samantha's video, had already escaped their grasp. It had been uploaded anonymously at 3:17 a.m. By sunrise, it was everywhere. Across the country, the clip of Isaiah Brooks being humiliated in a diner, remaining calm as 2 officers mocked his service, had racked up over 500,000 views. Hashtags began trending. Justice for Brooks, shielded abuse, red line incident. Veterans groups reposted it. Civil rights advocates flagged it. And in Washington, General Malcolm Stroud wasn't sleeping. He'd already contacted the Department of Justice, the Veterans Affairs Office, and a longtime ally who now worked inside Homeland Security. And he'd made one more call. To Alicia Grant. At 34, Alicia had become one of the most effective civil rights attorneys on the East Coast. Her specialty? Law enforcement misconduct in small jurisdictions. When Stroud called, she dropped everything. "I need you to go to Greystone," he told her. "There's a man named Isaiah Brooks. He saved my life. Now we need to save his." No questions asked. She was on the road by noon. Back in Greystone, Isaiah sat across from Samantha in a quiet booth at the Pine Shelter, one of the only places that still welcomed him. He nursed a cup of black coffee while she clutched her phone like it might explode. "They're calling me a traitor online," she said quietly. "Some of the regulars, customers, I've known them for years, and now they're saying I turned on the town." "You turned toward the truth," Isaiah said, unmoved. "That scares people more than lies." She hesitated. "I don't regret it, but I don't know what comes next." Isaiah nodded slowly. "Neither do they. That's why they're angry." That evening, Alicia arrived. She introduced herself with a firm handshake and no wasted words. "Mr. Brooks, I saw the footage. I've reviewed your service record. I've spoken to General Stroud. We're going to build a case, not just for you, but for anyone else they've buried." "I don't want attention," Isaiah said. "I want accountability." "That's what I do," Alicia replied, "but to get it, we need evidence, patterns, names." He took a deep breath, looked her in the eye, then let's begin. Over the next 48 hours, they worked quietly. Alicia filed federal requests. Samantha, now fully in, reached out to former coworkers and quietly downloaded the diner's security footage, with the help of a cook named Marcus, who was sympathetic. And Isaiah? He walked the streets. He spoke with other homeless veterans. One by one, the stories emerged. Frank, an amputee who slept behind the old library, told of being arrested for loitering and dropped 15 miles out of town in the snow. Reggie, a soft-spoken Marine, showed scars on his ribs. "Didn't resist," he said. "Didn't even raise my voice. They said I was uncooperative and fell down the stairs." None of these incidents had made it to the press. Few had made it to reports. But Isaiah remembered. He kept each name, each face, and he brought them to Alicia. On the third night, someone smashed Samantha's apartment window. A brick with a note attached, "Cop lovers get burned." Isaiah helped her board it up. As he hammered in nails, she stood beside him, fists clenched. "I thought people would care." "They do," he said. "But the ones who benefit from silence always scream the loudest when it breaks." Her voice dropped. "They're trying to make me an example." "They're failing," he replied. "You're becoming a leader." But the enemy was adapting. That same night, Alicia returned to her motel and found it ransacked. Her laptop gone, notes scattered, the room smelled like gasoline. Isaiah showed up 5 minutes after her call. He walked through the debris silently. Then he turned to her. "They're not just warning you," he said. "They're declaring war." Alicia met his gaze, jaw clenched. "Then let's respond. Not with bullets, with the truth." Isaiah nodded once. "I know someone who can help." The next day, Isaiah stood at an old payphone near a bus depot. He dialed a number from memory, one he hadn't used in years. "Quinn's Repair and Comm Support. We fix what others can't. What do you need?" "The Eagle needs new eyes," Isaiah said. A pause. "Brooks? It's me, Q. You still got that team?" "I've got the team. What happened?" "Corruption. Deep, dirty, dangerous. I need surveillance. I need forensics. I need people who don't flinch. Where are you?" "Greystone, PA. 6 hours," Q said. "Keep the coffee hot." Exactly 6 hours later, a modified van rolled into town. On the side, Quinn Tech Solutions. Inside, 4 veterans. Micah Q. Quinn, Comms and Encryption. Trace Lawson, former military police, now counterintelligence. Jordan Link, cybersecurity. Marcus Ghost Wilson, digital forensics and surveillance. When they met up with Alicia and Samantha in a rented basement room, the tension was thick, but not uncertain. Isaiah introduced everyone. "We're going to find out how deep this rabbit hole goes," Q said. "And then we're going to dig it up, record it, and throw it on 100 screens." Alicia smiled for the first time in days. "Good, because we're about to go to war with a system that thinks no one's watching." Within hours, Q's team had established a makeshift command post. Monitors glowed with maps of Greystone, cameras pulled from traffic feeds, police radio frequencies quietly scanned. What they found was worse than any of them expected. Encrypted emails between officers, payment records from a private defense contractor called Halberd Group with money funneled to select officers, including Rourke and Denton, and something darker. An internal name, the Shieldman. Not a unit, not official, but very, very real. Alicia leaned in, reading one message aloud. "Cleaning crew handled the park last night. Cleared 4. No resistance. Report filed as noise complaint." "They're not just corrupt," she said. "They're organized." Isaiah stared at the screen, his voice low and certain. "They're not ready for what's coming." It started with a clip, 79 seconds of grainy footage, posted at 7:01 p.m. In it, Isaiah Brooks sat quietly at a diner counter. Officers Rourke and Denton flanked him, mocking, threatening. He said one line, "I earned my dignity in Fallujah. I don't need to earn it again from you." Then the video cut to silence. Just a black screen, followed by white words, "Justice isn't given, it's taken back." The clip hit 1 million views in 8 hours. By morning, it was playing on national news. In Greystone, the fallout was immediate. City Hall closed early. Reporters began showing up with satellite trucks. The mayor refused interviews, but veterans, hundreds of them, began arriving. Some drove hours just to stand outside the diner where it all began. Not shouting, not holding signs, just standing. Inside their makeshift headquarters, Q's team worked non-stop. Trace and Ghost mapped officer activity. Link pulled financial records linking Halberd Group to over a dozen property acquisitions across town, buildings near where homeless encampments had disappeared. Alicia prepared legal briefings. Samantha edited video. And Isaiah? He spoke. Not to the press, not to politicians, to people. He sat with Frank, the amputee. With Diane, the nurse arrested for trespassing near her old apartment. With Miguel, a father of 2 who lost his job and then his home after one arrest too many. He listened, took notes, and he asked just one question: "Can I tell your story?" That weekend, Samantha released the first of the interviews. The tone was quiet. No dramatic music, no sensationalism, just truth. A woman holding up a photograph of her brother, dead from exposure. A man describing bruises left by rubber batons. a vet showing medical discharge papers, and then the citation for aggressive panhandling. The videos spread like wildfire. Churches played them on Sunday. A retired general shared them on LinkedIn. A conservative radio host wept on air. The line between left and right blurred, because dignity wasn't partisan. On Monday, Alicia filed a federal civil rights complaint, accompanied by 64 affidavits and video evidence. The press called it the Shieldman Files. The name stuck. Back in Greystone, the system struck back. Samantha was fired from the diner. Official reason: repeated lateness. 2 days later, someone tried to run Alicia off the road. She escaped, barely. And then they came for James, Samantha's younger brother, still a cadet at the police academy. He showed up at their headquarters, pale and shaking. "I need to talk," he said. "I know things." They listened, taped everything. James told them about the off-the-record trainings led by Captain Krantz, the head of internal affairs, about how new recruits were taught to classify arrests, how to rewrite incident reports, how to ensure undesirables didn't stay long enough to sue. He told them about a warehouse, an unofficial holding space. That's where they take the ones they want to scare. Alicia's voice was tight. "You realize you're putting yourself in danger?" James nodded. "I know, but I'm not going to wear that badge unless I deserve it." The next day, Samantha was abducted, pulled into a cruiser by Rourke and Denton. No arrest warrant, no charges. They drove her to the warehouse, left her tied to a chair, threatened her, demanded to know who had the footage, who was helping Isaiah. What they didn't know: she was still recording, a tiny audio pin hidden in her coat lining. When Q's team traced her location using hacked city camera feeds, Isaiah mobilized. 4 veterans, one objective: extraction. The warehouse raid lasted less than 5 minutes. They moved like ghosts. No weapons, no sound, just precision. They got Samantha out without injury. Left Denton unconscious, his service weapon still holstered. The audio file? Gold. No one's gonna believe a junkie or some war freak. We bury people like that. The following morning, Samantha's voice trembled only slightly as she narrated the next video. This is how they silence truth. But not this time. The footage of the warehouse. Denton's voice. The map of properties cleared by Halberd. The connections were undeniable. By nightfall, Shieldman trended #1. And then it broke national. Department of Justice opens federal investigation into Greystone Police. That night, Isaiah stood outside the Red Line Diner. He stared through the frosted glass. A new sign had appeared in the window. Closed indefinitely. He didn't smile, didn't celebrate. He just exhaled, long and slow. "One crack," he said. "The wall just cracked." Behind him, Q approached. "They're gonna hit back harder." "I know. You ready?" Isaiah looked toward the night sky. "I've been ready since Fallujah." The town of Greystone was different now. Where silence once protected abuse, the truth had grown loud enough to shake the walls. 3 weeks after the first video dropped, a crowd filled the old community center. Veterans, neighbors, students, journalists, even local officials who once looked the other way. The walls had been painted fresh. The folding chairs were set up in neat rows. At the front, a podium stood beneath a banner that read, "Dignity isn't given. It's taken back." The live stream had already begun. The chat was moving too fast to read. Comments poured in from all over the country. And then Isaiah Brooks stepped onto the stage. He stood tall, not in a suit, not in uniform, just a plain collared shirt and a quiet presence that filled the room without force. He looked at the crowd, then straight into the camera. "My name is Isaiah Brooks. I served this country overseas. 3 tours, 2 Purple Hearts, 1 Silver Star. But my hardest fight wasn't in uniform. It was here, when I came home." He paused. The room was still. The country I bled for forgot me. The town I walked through every day didn't see me until it wanted to remove me. And the moment I dared to sit at a diner counter like anyone else, they made sure I knew I wasn't welcome. He didn't raise his voice, but no one could look away. They dragged me out, but someone, just one person, believed me, and then others did too. And the lie that held this whole thing together? It cracked. The silence was deep, not fearful, reverent. This wasn't just about me. This was about every man and woman who served and then came back to no home, no help, and no name that anyone remembered. He looked down, then back up. But we remember each other. And when one voice stands up, others do too. He stepped aside. Then Alicia Grant took the mic. She laid it all out. The Shieldmen dismantled. Officers Rourke, Denton, and Captain Krantz indicted. Over a dozen homeless veterans now receiving housing and medical care. The Halberd Group, under federal investigation for conspiracy and racketeering. She spoke without flair. Just facts. But when she finished, people stood and clapped. Not because the work was done, but because it had begun. Then came Samantha. She walked slowly to the podium, still wearing the scar under her eye from the night they took her. "I was just a waitress," she said. "I didn't expect to become part of something like this, but I saw something, and I couldn't unsee it. I didn't save anyone, I just believed someone." Her voice broke slightly, but she kept going. "And now, I believe in all of you. I believe we can make sure this doesn't happen again." People began to stand. A slow ripple, then a wave. Applause thundered through the old hall. Backstage, Isaiah watched from the shadows. He didn't smile, didn't celebrate, but his shoulders relaxed for the first time in years. Later that week, the Greystone Veteran Center opened. Job training, counseling, shelter. The first patient through the door? Frank, the amputee who once slept behind the library. The first volunteer? Reggie, the Marine with the bruises. Samantha's new nonprofit cafe opened right next door. She hired vets, offered free coffee to anyone with dog tags, and kept a framed photo of Isaiah behind the counter. Alicia expanded her work statewide. Turner Law Foundation was now taking calls from 5 counties. One of the Shieldman whistleblowers from another state wrote, "I saw your video. I finally spoke out. They're investigating now. Thank you." The ripples were growing. One evening, Isaiah returned to the place it all started. The Red Line Diner was under new ownership. The neon sign had been replaced. The booths were brighter. There were flowers on the windowsill. He stepped inside. Same counter, same stool. A young waitress walked over. "Can I get you something to eat, sir?" He looked up at her and nodded. "The special, please," she smiled. "Coming right up." Later that night, outside the diner, Isaiah stood in front of the war memorial in town. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a set of dog tags. Not his. They belonged to Malik Johnson, his closest friend from the battlefield, killed in Kandahar, forgotten by everyone but Isaiah. He gently placed the tags at the base of the memorial and whispered, "We're finally home." This story isn't about a hero. It's about what happens when dignity is denied, and someone decides to say, enough. Because justice doesn't always come with sirens. Sometimes it comes with a whisper, a recording, and the courage to press send. So let me ask you. Comment 1 if you've ever seen injustice you couldn't forget. Comment 2 if you believe that one voice can still make a difference. And if you want more stories like this, real, raw, and worth remembering, hit subscribe and don't miss the next one. Because next time, the fight might be closer than you think.